want to talk to you about what happened to our three-phase low voltage trainer and why we concluded that our regular trainer was a better setup. Now, if you aren't familiar with that trainer, it was basically our trainer without a PLC and without a drive. So it had the motor, it had motor starters, and it had actually both overcurrent protections, a manual motor starter and an overload, so we could talk about that. And then it had this separate power supply that generated 24-volt AC three-phase power. And on the surface, that seems like a great trainer, but the issue was it was for a very, very, very small part of the learning experience as far as electricity goes. And so the trainer, what we found was it wasn't utilized that much. Now we could actually do the same thing with our standard trainer. This really is our standard trainer with the manual motor starter and reversing contactors and an overload added. And typically you're going to hit the start button. That's going to ramp up. And even though we're putting 120 volt in on this drive, it does put out 230 volt power. So if I switch it to AC 230 volt and I go between L1 and L2, then we have 248 volt. L1 to L3, 248 volt. And L3 to L2, 248 volt. Now, a lot of you wanted to train on a lower voltage before you introduced your technicians or students to a higher voltage. And we could do that in our PowerFlex 525. If I go into my drive parameters, right now the P's flashing and I go up to the A's, I'm going to look for A534. And that is, what voltage is it putting out at 60 hertz? So it says 230 volt. That's where that comes from. Well, I can just hit the enter key on that. I'm going to bring that first digit up to a 1, hit select, bring that one down to a 2, hit select, and bring that one down to a 0. And that's going to make it output 24 volt. And now I hit my start button. And I'm going to let it run up to 60 hertz. Now I'll take between L1 and L2. And notice it says 60 volt. And this is going to start talking about what quality of meter do you have. Because since we're on a drive and we're putting out that lower frequency, actually this was happening at the upper frequency, I should have highlighted it there. We need a meter that has features such as low pass filtering. So while I'm holding this on L1 and L2, it's showing 60 volt. Well, if I hit this blue button on the 1587 FC, that's going to enable that filter. And there you go. We're putting out 26 volt AC. L2 to L3, 26 AC. L1 to L3, 26 AC. So in essence, that takes care of our low voltage concern. Now, the other side of it is, will the motor rotate? Is this good for the motor? Now, I can't fully answer, is this good for the motor? But I can answer whether it rotates. So this is wired so that the green button energizes this contactor. And we'll just take a peek into this fan. I'm gonna press the button and our motor starts to rotate. I can press the stop, and then the yellow button's reverse, and that gets it going the other way. So at that point, with our standard PLC trainer, you can talk about three-phase power and limit your output voltage to 24 volt. And then once they're ready, you can bring it on up to 230 volt. And right here's some playlists talking about AC three-phase power and how they make motors rotate.